Hey guys, this video is going to go on the very short life and useful stuff playlist. There's only a couple of other videos on there so far, but just because it might be useful to somebody, hopefully. Particularly maybe if you're a younger person, but maybe if you're an older person too. Hopefully there's one person out there it might help. And it's just, I've got a jumble of thoughts on this, so it might come out in all different orders, but what's triggered this is I keep seeing in real life and on YouTube and on the internet in general many examples of people failing because their confidence is greater than their knowledge, or their confidence is greater than their ability, or their confidence is greater than their knowledge and their ability. And it happens a lot, and sometimes that can result in just a person leaving a stupid comment. And on YouTube, that's probably one of the most common causes of stupid comments, is people having so much confidence. And it seems to be a common trait in the 21st century that we've worked hard at everybody having lots of confidence, you know, particularly in the Western system, perhaps more in the Western system than in a lot of the Eastern countries. But in the Western system, you know, confidence is very important, and you can do anything, and you're confident. And that's a good thing, of course, because of course confidence is very important has an important effect on our ability to achieve things. So confidence is very important. However, perhaps one of the results of that is that it's caused a lot of overconfidence in people, where they think they're more knowledgeable about things than they are, or they think that they're more skilled in different areas than they really are, and that results in different sort of things. So particularly on the internet, you see a lot of comments from people who think they know a lot about a particular topic, and they just obviously don't, and they fail really badly, leave some comment and you think, oh, that's pretty stupid. You know, on our Japan channel we see lots of comments from people who think, you know, they now know all about Japan or different aspects of Japan, and they leave some comment and it's like, no, not even close. You know, something that quite often they've seen something on the internet, or they've heard something and they think it's true and they repeat it. So that's one thing, of course. It can lead to some embarrassment. However, on a bigger scale, it can lead to death, of course, and we see that as well, don't we? You know, people think that they can do something. You know, they think they're good at riding motorbikes, or they think that they're good at something, and they push themselves too far and they die. And, you know, as a pilot over the years, I've seen a lot of examples of that, you know, of people whose skill wasn't as good as they thought it was, and as a result they died. And a common example of that is aerobatics. You know, I'm an aerobatic pilot, and in Australia I used to do aerobatics and always did it over 3,000 feet, because I was aware that my skills had limitations. And it was true. Now and again I'd be doing some aerobatic maneuver and I'd make a mistake, and, you know, in particular I'm thinking of one example. I was doing a loop and went up over the top of a loop and just went too slow, and the aeroplane was upside down at the top of the loop, didn't have enough speed, and just basically stopped and fell upside down out of the sky. Now that's not a big problem in an aerobatic plane. You can fix that if you've got enough height to fix it. So because I was always over 3,000 feet, as it fell I could pull back on the stick, and that allowed the nose to drop and the plane to come out of that bad situation and come out the bottom. But in the meantime I'd pulled 3 or 4 negative G's, and at the bottom I came out pulling out about 5 positive G's, which is fairly tough on the body. But because I'd been doing it at height, I survived. Whereas what you often see, we see this all the time on TV, on the news, and we see it on YouTube, people doing aerobatics close to the ground, they make one mistake like that and they die. And so there's an example of their confidence was higher than their skills. We can't deny that. They died, right? They made a mistake. You know, they were relying on themselves not making a mistake close to the ground. They made a mistake close to the ground and they died. So it's just an illustration of too much confidence in relation to overconfidence. You think you're better at something than you are, or you think that your skill is better than you are, or you think your knowledge is better than it is. So this is also a very common trait in young people, and it's sort of an important trait in young people, because particularly young teenage dudes, but girls too, but teenage dudes in particular tend to have lots and lots of confidence, and that's really important because that allows that allows young people to try things that they haven't tried before. It gives them the confidence to try things. Yeah, I can do anything. I can do this, and they'll take on things that they haven't done before and be confident, I can do this. And that's very important, because if they don't have any confidence, they're not going to try new things. So it is important. However, that is the reason why so many young people die in car accidents, and so many people die in all sorts of accidents and break bones and all sorts of things, because they're overly confident. And we've all got memories of that, haven't we? When you're a teenager, some friend jumping off a bridge that he thought he could land in the water without hurting himself, and he ended up breaking his leg, or a guy coming off a bicycle because he thought he could pull off a jump. Fail videos on YouTube are full of that, aren't they? That's basically what fail videos are, really, is people with more confidence than ability. They think they can pull off that jump on that snowboard or that bicycle, or, doing their parkour, jumping from roof to roof, and they think they can make it. They're confident they can make it, but in actual fact, they don't have the ability, and it ends up with broken bones, doesn't it? Or death. So how do we deal with this? So, because we want to keep our confidence, because we need our confidence. If you want to fly an aeroplane, you need to be confident. If you want to pass your exams, you need to be confident. If you want to learn to drive, you need to be confident. If you want to snowboard, you need to be confident. So pretty well anything that we want to achieve in life, we're going to need a certain degree of confidence, but it needs to be realistic. Because the other problem is, overconfidence leads to people not improving. Because if you already think you're expert at driving, you're not going to look at how to improve on being a driver. If you already think you're an expert pilot, now there's another one came to mind before. There was a guy that was a student. One of my flying teachers was a really, really good teacher, and he refused to give this guy a license because he didn't think his skills were up to it. But this guy was super confident, and he went to another teacher who gave him his license, and then he promptly went and crashed into the ground in the aeroplane and killed himself, because his confidence was higher than his skill, ability, and the teacher made the mistake of thinking it was good enough as well, and it wasn't. Whereas my teacher told him his skill wasn't good enough. So we need to be able to. The problem is, if we think we already know a lot, and you see this on YouTube all the time, don't you? People think they already know everything, and that their confidence is super high that they know all about it, and you try and tell them something and say, no, that's actually not quite right, and you show them something and they just won't listen. And as a result, they're not learning anything. And this is the problem, that if we think we know everything about a topic, we stop improving. And a lot of people are like that, aren't they? And a lot of people, I know 50-year-old people that are like that, 60-year-old people that are like that. They stopped learning when they were 20, because they got to 20 years old or 25 years old, and they decided they knew everything. And after that, they stopped listening. They've got lots of opinions, and this is what we see all the time, isn't it? In real life and on YouTube, people that know everything about every topic. You name the topic, they're experts on it, and they know all about it. And as a result, they stop learning. One of the best pieces of advice I was ever given was, you don't need to know everything, you just need to know the people who know everything. And the meaning of that person's meaning at the time was, I had a business, and it takes a bit of confidence to have a business as well, but what's scary about owning a business is there's a lot of aspects to it. There's accounting, and there's law, and there's all sorts of aspects to it that can be quite intimidating. And this person's advice to me was, you don't need to know all of it, just know the people that know those different aspects. So the point was that as a business owner, you don't need to know all of it. All you need to do is I just had to have a good accountant and a good solicitor, good lawyer, and whatever the topic was, whatever the aspect of the business was that we needed to deal with, I just needed to know someone who was good in that field. And that's really liberating. If you accept, and it can change your life, this, if you accept that you don't know everything, right? Because nobody knows everything. Some people know a lot about one topic or another, or a few different topics, but no one knows everything. If you accept that you don't know everything, that leaves you free then to learn more and to listen more and find the people who do know the most about all the different things. So I think I'm a reasonably good pilot, but there's a lot of pilots that are better than I am, and two of my teachers are a couple of the best pilots in Australia. And when you when you accept that you don't know so much or don't know everything about a topic, that leaves you open then to keep learning. And I'm still learning. You know, my teacher in Australia gave me advice recently about flying. He noticed that I was only flying once a month in Japan. And he said to me, be careful that you're not current enough and do a bit of practice for engine failures because you're only flying once a month and to keep you current. And that's really good advice because I was confident. You know, I've been flying once a month and I'm feeling really confident. But because I accept that he knows more about flying than I do, I listen to him. And that was an excellent piece of advice. So the next time I flew after that, I did some emergency practice and some getting my head back in the emergency thing, so that if I have an engine failure, I'm not going to get spun out because I haven't been practicing it for a long time. So this is the thing, if you accept that you don't know everything and open your mind, and we see this on YouTube too. YouTube's just a good example because you're on YouTube and I'm on YouTube, and so we see it all the time. And you see this too. Someone leaves a comment on YouTube, someone else comes along and says, actually it's not quite right because of this, and the first person goes, oh right, yeah, okay, and they go and look at it and they go, oh yeah, you're right, okay, that's interesting, I learned something new today. And I learn something new all the time from the comment section on YouTube. From a percentage of it, a lot of it's bullshit, but in amongst it, there's some real gems of wisdom if you're prepared to open your mind and look at them, you know. And I think this is really, really important. If we want to learn, and another one that's coming to mind is martial arts too, is another good example. You know, if you're doing martial arts, it's important to practice with people of all different levels, including beginners, because you can learn something from practicing with anyone. And again, just because you're practicing with someone whose level is lower than you, it's not wise to assume that you know more about everything than they do, because you can actually learn things from people that are beginners in things because they have a different perspective. And if nothing else, you can learn what not to do. If you pay close attention to what a beginner is doing and it's not working for them, you know, in martial arts it happens all the time. Beginners try really hard to do something and it's not working. And if you watch and you see why it's not working, well, you've just learnt something, haven't you? You've just learnt why, you know, what not to do. Don't do that because that doesn't work. So, and then of course, you know, so we can learn from people of all levels, but of course we can really learn from the people that are above us. And again, that's the thing. If you think you already know all about it, you're not going to be learning anymore. You'll have stopped learning, won't you? If you think you know all about it already, whereas if you accept that you don't know all about it, and then you get to practice with people who are higher level than you will learn a lot. Whereas if you practice with those people that are higher level than you, and you think you know all about it, well, you won't be learning anything from them, will you? So, you know, what we need to find, what I'm trying to get across here is that I think it's really important for us to find a realistic level of confidence. You know, because we need confidence. We can't do anything worthwhile in life really if we don't have some confidence to do it. But the confidence needs to be realistic. You know, we need to realistically assess our confidence, and that's another advantage to surrounding ourselves with really competent people. And this is another thing too I've noticed. There's another thing I know this is a bit jumbled, guys, but I hope there's little points that are worthwhile in all of this rambling. But another thing I've noticed too, some people don't like hanging around people that have more skills than them. And I've seen a few examples of this recently, that some people in the dojo don't want to practice with people that are better than them. And some people that are pilots don't want to talk with pilots who are more skilled than them or more experienced than them. And some people just don't like hanging out with high achievers. And there's a guy coming to mind as I'm saying this that just doesn't like hanging out with high achievers because it makes him feel inadequate. So he really doesn't like hanging out with people that are really good at anything, which is really a mistake, because if you're hanging out with people that are high achievers in different fields, then you could be learning from all these people, and it also gives you a more realistic idea of what your own abilities are and understand and knowledge is in different topics. So you have a realistic idea, a realistic confidence of your abilities, and it gives you the ability to continue to learn. And I'm convinced that this is really important for people in their lives, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, whether it's, you know, jumping jumps on a bike or a snowboard, or whether it's flying aeroplanes or going to a dojo, or going for applying for a job, or whatever it is that we're doing in life. A realistic degree of confidence is going to make a difference. You know, underconfidence, we're probably not going to try, are we? We're going to be too scared to have a go. But overconfidence, it can lead to disaster, you know, and stop us learning, stop us improving. You know, a realistic, if we can keep learning from people, and be aware that, yeah, my level is increasing here, but I've still got a lot to learn. You know, I've still got a lot to learn. My level here is increasing. That's good, but and my ability is improving, but I've still got a lot to learn, and I'm still learning, and keep doing that. I think that's why a lot of people do enjoy martial arts. Is that, you know, you can be doing the same martial art for 30 years, and you can still keep trying to improve. And you see this all the time. You know, guys in the dojo are 60, 70 years old that are still trying to improve their level, because they know that their level is high, but that they know that they can continue to improve it. So, jumble. So I hope somebody's made some sense. How can we put this into a short little package, you know, so that if we want to be successful in life, and try and, by being successful too, I don't mean stuff like flying airplanes and stuff necessarily. I mean, it can just be day-to-day stuff. You know, just learning to drive a car, and particularly learning to drive a car. I mean, that's one problem that we have, isn't it? That learner drivers, young dudes, get their driver's license and have so much confidence. You know, I can remember all this. You know, so much confidence. I can drive. I'm the best driver, and I can drive. And so they drive really, really fast. But the reality is they've only been driving for a few months, so their physical skills and experience are still low. And they might be a good driver, but the experience and skills and practice until that point has only been brief. So of course, that you know, a lot of these physical skills that we learn, you need repetition, and you need a lot of practice at anything physical to develop a skill set. And you know, young guys, great example. You know, I'm a great driver, and because you run into things all over the place. You know, when I was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, I was always damaging cars, you know, because you got so much confidence, and your skills are still low. You've only been driving a short period of time, you know, and no matter how good you think you are, you know, you think you're really good, and you're not as good as you think you are, and that's why you have accidents. You know, that's what causes these things. If you have a realistic understanding of your ability, then your caution level and your risk level is contained. It's the same as me flying the aeroplane to do aerobatics over 3,000 feet. Always went up above 3,000, 4,000 feet, 5,000 feet. 5,000 feet. Okay, now do some aerobatics. And then when I did make the occasional mistake, which I did, I had the height to recover, and I didn't die. You know, and it's the same as driving the car. You know, be realistic. You know, you don't. If I drive on this road at 140 kilometers an hour, then there's a good chance I'll come undone. If I drive too close to these other cars and one of them does something stupid, there's a good chance I'm going to run into them. So a realistic assessment of my abilities and skills given this circumstance stops me having accidents. And I think this is why, not always, I mean, like I said before, I know some pretty stupid old people, but usually as we get older, our assessment of our abilities becomes more realistic. You know, when you're 16 and 17, you're an expert on everything, and you know everything, and you can do everything, and, you know, nobody's better than you at anything. And then as you get older, you know, your assessment of your skills and abilities become more realistic. So a smart young person gets realistic assessment, can make a realistic assessment. The sooner you can make realistic assessments of your abilities and your knowledge, the better your life's going to be. That's sort of what I'm trying to do. I know. The problem with this is the people who really need to listen to this probably think they already know everything and aren't listening. That's probably the problem. I often think when I'm going to make videos like this, I remember when I was 16 and 17 and I thought my parents were fucking idiots and I thought I knew everything and I was smarter than everybody and my teachers were all fools and my parents were fools and, you know, adults, all adults, everybody over 30 was old and stupid and, you know, everyone over 25 was old and stupid really, and I wasn't listening to any of them. And I'm fully aware that that's how a lot of young people think, you know, because that's how I thought too. And it's really, really hard because it didn't matter what good advice people gave me when I was that age. I thought I knew everything, so I didn't really listen. So I'm fully aware of that when I make these videos, that there's a good chance that the people that these are aimed at really aren't listening either. So I am aware of that, but you know, I think if just one person listening to this, and older people too, I mean, you know, I know a lot of those negative examples I gave you of people that don't get this, you know, are people my age. You know, old bastards that think they know everything, and that can happen too. Old dudes that think because they're old and they think they know everything and they stop learning as well, and that's a really common thing as well. So I think that's the other reason it's good to surround ourselves. If there's something you're interested in, whatever it is, whether it's, you know, whatever it is, whether it's computers and IT or whatever it is, martial arts or aeroplanes or whatever it is that you're interested in, if you spend time with people who know more about it and have more skills than you do, then and really honestly accept that, you know, really accept this person knows more about this topic than I do and really listen to them, then you'll continue to progress, you know. There's nothing sadder than people that just stop progressing. You know, because as soon as you assume that you know everything and that nobody can teach you anything, you stop moving forward. You stop improving, you stop learning, you just stop moving forward. You know, your knowledge and your abilities stay just where they are forever and never improve. And that's really sad. That's sad when it's a 20-year-old dude, and it's sad when it's a 50-year-old dude, you know, because it's just, they've just stopped moving forward, and it's a mistake that young people make, and it's a mistake that old people make too. They think they know it all, they stop learning, you know, and that's really sad. So I think that's what we need to remember, isn't it? Have a realistic understanding of our abilities and our knowledge, and surround ourselves or spend time with people who know more about things and have more abilities than we do, and accept that and listen to them and learn from them, you know, and then we'll move forward, won't we? We'll improve and we'll continue to learn and improve and know things. You know, a bit of a humbleness in accepting to ourselves and accepting to other people that we're not, you know, the best at everything in the world and the most knowledgeable people in the world is good for us. So anyway, there it was. Hopefully one person got something out of this anyway. More videos coming soon.